Okay, so we should be live on YouTube over here and Facebook over here. And we're reading the Daily Drucker, day 34. Today is February 12th. February 13, actually, sorry. So this lesson for today is called The Nature of Freedom. Freedom is not fun. It is not the same thing as individual happiness, nor it is security or peace or progress. It is a responsible choice. Freedom is not so much as a right as it is a duty. Real freedom is not freedom from something. That would be a license. It is freedom to choose between doing and not doing something, act one way or the other, to hold one belief or the opposite. It is not fun, but it's the heaviest burden laid on man to decide his own individual conduct as well as the conduct of society and to be responsible for both decisions. So the action point on this page is list specific goals for your work. Think of the goals that will meet your need for personal fulfillment while also helping your boss meet his or her performance objectives. Sell these goals to your boss and keep your boss informed on the progress. So, what do I think about this whole concept of freedom? So, number one, we live in a country, or I live in a country, the United States, where we have enormous amounts of freedom compared to other countries, where my home country is from. We lack some of these freedoms, including freedom of speech, freedom to make your own choices for the most part. And that is something that we definitely shouldn't take for granted. Some folks that work, employed folks, they have freedom from worrying about tomorrow's paycheck, I would say. That would be the biggest amount of freedom. They also have a certain interesting freedom when you're employed, where you kind of clock out and disconnect from work. Entrepreneurs are the other side of the coin. We don't have much freedom from the worry about income, because for the most part, we're thinking about work 24/7, but we do have freedom from the so-called boss. I mean, notice the action point said that somehow you have to balance the need, your own personal needs with your boss's needs. I mean, that's probably the reason why most people quit their jobs and start their own businesses. But then once you become an entrepreneur, freedom is not that simple. I mean, we do have, freedom to show up to work or not show up to work, to call our customers or not to call our customers, whatever it happens to be. But and in the long run, it is harder. Entrepreneurship, it is harder, but it is harder because it does mean freedom or potential freedom. So if you're thinking about quitting your job and becoming an entrepreneur because you're gonna have freedom, I would say yes, it will afford you that. If you become a small business owner and manage your own time, you will enjoy the upside. So if you are successful, if you are able to build financial freedom, if you're able to build a brand and a customer base, you are certainly going to enjoy the upside of that, which will give you more freedom to make decisions about what to do with your own time. But it is a burden, as it says here. It is a huge burden because you kind of have to maintain it. You have to maintain your freedom by working hard, by adding value to the world. In terms of non-business, think about the humongous cost that us Americans had to endure in order to have our freedoms. We have tons of people that sacrifice their lives, military and people that defend us overseas and even in the country, in order to afford us that freedom. So this is not only speaking from the context of business. Freedom is a humongous burden, and we all have the sacred duty to make sure that we do live in a free society, whether it's both freedom of choice or freedom of having your own financial future. I mean, all freedoms are something that we all should work really hard towards, and every individual of us should carry the burden of giving us the choice to have that freedom. And the other piece is you have to be like in order to truly have freedom, you have to endure the responsibilities of the decisions that you make. Okay, one of the greatest things about this country again is that we're free and we have the freedom to choose. But on the downside to that, if you screw up, if you do something you weren't supposed to, then you also have to take responsibility and right your wrongs and go back. And in some cases, if you're an entrepreneur, if you screw up, you have to refund your client the money, whatever happens